For women over 55, relationships feel very different than they did in the past. At this beautiful stage in our lives, we value peace, quiet honesty, and deep, genuine emotional intimacy. Yet, so many of us still find ourselves trapped in a familiar, painful loop. We lie awake at night, asking the same quiet questions. What did I do wrong? Where was I not enough? What more do I need to understand, just to make him stay? Many women assume that love is earned through sacrifice. We pour our energy, our time, and our patience into someone else, hoping they will finally see our worth. But instead of closeness, we are left with a hollow feeling. We feel depleted and deeply anxious. The truth is, no matter how much a man tries to hide it, his subconscious behaviors reveal a profound misunderstanding about how attraction truly works. Most people misunderstand the psychology of behavior, believing that the more you give, the more you will be loved. This is a dangerous trap. It is the paradox of effort. When you fall into the validation-seeking loop, when you try too hard to prove your value, you unconsciously send a signal. You tell him that your presence is cheap. You become convenient, and convenience never inspires devotion. True attraction is not built on what you give. It is defined by what you absolutely refuse to accept. Seduction at this stage of your life is about subtraction, not addition. Stop chasing. It is time to dismantle the myth of effort maximization. Your presence is a legacy, not a commodity. You do not need to over-explain or overextend to keep someone who is not ready to invest in you. You are the prize. This is the beginning of a powerful shift. You are moving away from the position of the one waiting to be chosen. You are stepping into the role of the selector. Your boundaries are the ultimate filter. Let us explore the deep psychology of this shift and look at the undeniable boundaries that will reclaim your power. Pillar 1. Refusing unclear intentions. The silent withdrawal. Many women believe that when a man says, "Let us just see where things go," he is being romantic and spontaneous. The truth is, no matter how much a man tries to hide it, those words often mask a subconscious evasion of responsibility. He is telling you that he wants the comfort of your presence without the effort of commitment. He wants the warmth of physical closeness, but avoids the emotional intimacy that requires active investment. When a mature man refuses to clarify his intentions, he is not being carefree. He is declaring that your time is a low priority asset. Think about this. Linda, at 57, after decades of caring for her family, stepped back into the dating world. She met a charming man, but whenever she sought clarity, he would smile and murmur, "Let us just let things flow naturally." In the past, Linda might have tried harder. She might have tried to convince him of her worth. But this time, she stepped into her cognitive sovereignty. She did not argue. She did not demand an explanation. Instead, she chose the silent withdrawal. Silent withdrawal is not a game of silence. It is the quiet reclamation of your psychological resources. It is a powerful signal of nonchalance. By quietly taking her attention away, Linda sent a clear message. She does not invest in low-commitment projects. Her silence was not a punishment. It was the ultimate boundary of her self-worth. It left him wondering in the empty space of her absence if he had truly lost a prize. Yet, the hardest part of walking away is often the quiet voice inside that urges us to explain ourselves, to defend our choice. Pillar 2. Refusing the urge to over-explain. The simple no. Have you ever noticed that when you say no, you immediately feel the need to offer a long explanation, to keep the peace, or to avoid appearing cold? The truth is, the moment you try to defend your boundaries, you unconsciously hand over your power. You are telling him that your boundaries are up for debate and that he has the right to judge them. This is a subtle yet dangerous decline of your executive presence. The more words you use, the cheaper your boundaries become. You deserve better. Imagine you were at the exact place Susan was at 58. She was an empty nester, starting over after a long marriage. She spent decades explaining her choices to everyone, her children, her ex-husband, her coworkers. When a man she recently met texted her late at night, asking her to come over, Susan felt that immense pressure. She spent 20 minutes drafting a long text explaining how tired she was and why she had to wake up early. She was seeking his approval for her own boundary. But Susan stopped. She deleted the long draft and sent a simple message. "I cannot make it tonight, but I hope you have a wonderful evening." There was no apology. There was no excuse, just a simple no. That is the power of cognitive sovereignty. It is not rude. It is a quiet declaration of absolute self-worth. It shows that you respect your own time, and because you respect it, he has no choice but to respect it too. He will notice. But communication is only one side of the coin. What happens when the inconsistency is not in his words, but in his actions?
Pillar 3, refusing inconsistent effort, the response audit. Have you ever wondered if the most exciting chemistry is actually just a roller coaster of anxiety? We meet someone who makes us feel alive, and for 24 hours, he is warm, attentive, and full of beautiful words. Then, without warning, he disappears into silence, leaving us waiting and over-analyzing. Many women assume that this hot and cold behavior is passion, but in reality, it is psychological instability. Inconsistent effort is not a sign of a busy life. It is a clear reflection of his limited capacity to invest in a real, stable relationship. When a man pulls back, he is showing you his true budget of emotional availability. Think about Carol. At 61, after years of building her own successful life, she stepped back into dating. She met a man who made her feel incredibly excited. He would text her constantly, making grand plans, then go completely silent for 4 days. Carol found herself checking her phone every 10 minutes, caught in a painful loop of validation seeking. She thought she was feeling deep chemistry, but she was actually feeling profound anxiety. Stop chasing. Carol decided to step into her sovereign power. She performed what we call a response audit. She stopped reacting. She stopped trying to fill the quiet gaps with her own energy. Instead, she slowed down and simply observed his data. She realized that consistency is a behavior that must be proven over time. It is not a prize you have to beg for or chase. By taking her hands off the wheel, Carol let the silence reveal his lack of readiness. You are the prize. But what happens when his attention is not just inconsistent, but shared? When you feel like you are competing for a seat at his table?
Pillar 4, refusing to compete for attention, the quiet replacement. The truth is, no matter how much a man tries to hide it, the moment you agree to compete for his time, you have already lost your position of value. You are telling him that your presence is something he can schedule at his leisure, like an appointment or a convenience. In the psychology of worth, competition is a self-deprecating act. It signals that you do not believe you are worthy of being a natural priority. Many women believe that trying harder when they feel ignored will earn them a higher place on his list. But a queen does not line up or wait for a turn. She walks away. I understand because I've heard this question countless times from women exactly like Rachel. At 59, she spent her whole life prioritizing everyone else, her career, her children, and later, a man who treated her like an option. He would constantly cancel their weekend plans, citing work or family obligations, but expect her to be ready whenever his schedule suddenly cleared. Rachel felt that familiar anxiety, that urge to prove she was supportive and flexible, but she realized that being flexible had only made her convenient. So Rachel chose the quiet replacement. She did not send an angry text. She did not demand that he make her a priority. Instead, she quietly replaced his place in her mind. She filled her weekend with things that brought her joy, her friends, her art class, and her own peace. She stepped off his waiting list and onto her own throne. A man who truly recognizes your value will automatically clear his table to make room for you. He will never ask you to line up or compete for a seat. You deserve better. But walking away from the competition is only half the battle. What happens when the challenge is not about his busy schedule, but about your own temptation to bend your life around his convenience? Pillar 5, refusing to be too available, the 48-hour intentionality window.
most people misunderstand how attraction truly grows. Many women believe that being constantly available is a beautiful way to show a man they care. They think that by always saying yes, by being flexible, they are proving their warmth. But in the deep architecture of subconscious behaviors, the truth is, attraction grows from investment, not convenience. When you break your own schedule, when you cancel your plans to accommodate his last-minute requests, you are sending a silent signal. You tell him that your world is empty and waiting to be filled by his whim. For a mature man, convenience never inspires devotion. It inspires indifference. If he does not have to plan, he does not have to invest, and what requires no investment is never deeply valued. This is where you must step into your sovereign power by practicing the 48-hour intentionality window. This is not a dating game. It is a quiet declaration of prestige scarcity. Your time, at this stage of your life, is a beautiful legacy. It is a limited resource, not a commodity to be handed out to those who do not respect it. Selective availability is how you protect your self-worth. Stop waiting. Imagine you are at the same crossroads as Emma. At 60, after raising her children and rebuilding her life, she stepped back into dating. She met a charming man who texted her late on a Friday afternoon, asking her to meet him in an hour. Emma felt that familiar pull, that urge to drop her quiet evening just to feel desired. But Emma chose selective availability. She did not get angry. She did not explain. She simply replied, "I cannot make it tonight, but I hope you have a wonderful evening. Perhaps we can plan something next week." There was no apology. There was no defense. Just a period. By holding her boundary, Emma forced him to invest. He had to think. He had to plan ahead, because her presence was no longer cheap. It was a privilege that required effort. But protecting your time is only the first step. What happens when the challenge shifts from your physical schedule to your internal world? What happens when your emotional stability begins to lean entirely on his text or his silence?
Pillar 6. Refusing emotional dependency. Internal stability. I understand because I've heard this question countless times from women who have spent decades giving, caring, and adjusting. Many women assume that when they feel anxious waiting for a text, it is just a sign of how deeply they care. But the truth is, when your emotional stability rises and falls with a man's message or his quietness, you unconsciously shift in his eyes. You cease to be a sovereign partner. Instead, you transform into a responsibility, a burden to be managed. And in the psychology of relationships, responsibility creates intense pressure, while pressure is the ultimate killer of desire. You are the prize. Think about Helen at 60. She was an empty nester, starting over after a long marriage. Her quiet house in the suburbs often felt too large. When she met a charming man, she found herself falling into a familiar, painful pattern. She would stare at her phone, waiting, hoping for a notification. If he texted, her day was bright and full of hope. If he was silent, she felt a heavy, anxious cloud. Helen was a natural caregiver. She spent decades reacting to her children's needs, to her husband's moods. But now, her caregiver's anxiety was turning her into an emotional dependent. She was losing her self-worth. Helen decided to step into her queen's mindset. She chose to practice internal stability. She reminded herself that his presence in her life is a beautiful bonus, but her completeness is already a sacred reality. She began leaving her phone in another room. She turned her focus back to her own legacy, her garden, her reading, her quiet peace. When he did text, she responded with genuine warmth, but without any urgency. She was no longer waiting. She was simply living. And because she did not need his reassurance, she reclaimed her absolute power. He felt the shift. He realized he had to work to earn a place in her calm, beautiful world. Because her peace was not up for negotiation. He will notice. But reclaiming your emotional world is only part of the journey. What happens when the warning signs begin to show, and you are tempted to ignore them for the sake of potential?
Pillar 7. Refusing to ignore red flags. Reality over potential. The truth is, no matter how much a man tries to hide it, we do not ignore red flags. We paint them white. Many women believe that if they are patient enough, understanding enough, or loving enough, a man will change. They look at his lack of respect, his emotional absence, or his broken promises, and they tell themselves, he is just busy, he is going through a hard time. She is investing in a version of him that only exists in her mind. She is loving his potential rather than his reality. For a wise woman over 55, this is a trap you can no longer afford. Your time is too sacred to be spent on a man's future promise of change. Stop chasing. Think about Sarah at 60. She met a man who was charming but inconsistent with his words. He had excuses for everything, and Sarah found herself saying, "He didn't mean to ignore me. He will step up when things settle down." She was editing his reality to protect her hope. But after decades of life experience, Sarah realized she was wasting her most valuable asset, her time. In behavioral psychology, this is called investing in potential, but potential is a bad asset. A sovereign woman does not hope for a change in the input. She simply changes her output, her choice. She accepts the data as it is, and if the data is low, she walks away, without anger, but with absolute finality. You cannot build a future on a man's potential. You must choose reality.
This brings us to the ultimate tool of reclamation, what we call the period protocol. When you say no, let it end with a period, not a comma, not a justification, and certainly not an apology. The silence that follows that period is where your power truly lives. It is the ultimate declaration of prestige scarcity. Many women assume that they need to earn love through continuous sacrifice, but the Queen's mindset teaches us a different truth. You do not need to prove your value to someone who is not ready to invest. You are the prize. It is time to stop chasing and start choosing. You deserve a love that makes you feel cherished, stable, and entirely safe. You are not looking for someone to build a future from nothing. You are choosing who is worthy to walk into the beautiful empire you have already built. Now, I want to hear from you. What was the moment you realized you were investing in potential instead of reality? Share your stories in the comments. Your wisdom could be the exact light another sister needs to find her way home. If you found this video helpful, do not forget to like and subscribe for more insights on relationships and human behavior. Thank you for watching, and remember, your peace is never up for negotiation. I will see you in the next video.